Hi, Kelly.
Hello, my tea. How are you?
I'm good. We normally do an awesome intro. I normally try and get an awesome intro, but me and Kelly have just had an awesome green room chat, and I can't wait to share it with you guys today. So today, welcome to Unapologetically You. We are discussing all things health and wellness. We try and integrate science-backed tools just to support you and the ones that you love so it can give you thought-provoking conversations. It may get you motivated. It may be controversial. I don't know. Let us know if they
Let us
resonate with
know.
you. Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. But today we are going to go straight into our question and answer. Cal, this is one of my favorite parts of the podcast, right? I love the question and
You
answer.
do. I know you really do. It throws me a little bit because you always have fabulous answers, and I'm flying by the seat of my pants. But we're going to do the whole podcast flying by the seat of our pants
Yes,
tonight. So,
I love it.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we do have the
anyway,
hot topic of the day. We are going
we
to
do.
go into some questions regarding. I grilled Kelly the other week and we talked about her health and wellness, and she's going to grill me a little bit, but this is just going to be a conversation. This is hopefully not too over, like OTT information for you guys, but usually Kelly and I have amazing conversations that can last an hour, and we're like, this
I
should have
know.
been a podcast.
Yes. We always say that. And it could have
Yeah.
been. They
Yeah.
are good conversations. But
Yeah.
anyway,
But yeah,
today I am going to grill you. Do you want to do the question, the little hot topic
let's
questions, or go straight into our questions for you?
it's up to you. Should we do the question and answer first? Let's do the question and
Yeah,
answer.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
just a quick note, guys, if you are new to our channel, please subscribe, hit the notification
Yes.
bell if you're watching us on YouTube, or engage with us because YouTube likes engagement and it really helps our algorithm. And we really would love to grow this channel and reach more people with our podcast. So thank you so much for being here. So, yes, Cal, first
Yeah.
question. I'm going to jump in.
First question.
What
All
is
right.
your biggest win this week?
Um, a beautiful gallop along the beach with I was bareback on one of the horses, and the other horse we held back for about 5 seconds. So I was like a pacer, and then we
Yeah.
let the other one go. So no rider on it, and he just caught up to me, flew past me. It was just amazing to see a beautiful horse running free. My
Wow.
horse was carrying my weight, so it didn't have a chance of keeping up with a wild free, not a wild horse, but a free, just free, and just belting along the sand. It was a win because of the way it made me feel, the
How did
way
it make you feel?
powerful. Yeah, like part of nature, I guess. I really felt part of it. I didn't, because you're bareback as well, and you got to sit really tall. You got to let the
Mm,
horse move under you. You don't try to move with the horse. Um, so you feel that powerful. It's like a ton of horse underneath you, Tulsi. It's just beautiful, but empowering. That's how it felt.
yeah.
So many people ask me, so many pregnant people when they're pregnant, go, "How was your labor?" And I go, "You know what? The most empowering thing I've ever done." And I think I've said that on the podcast
Wow.
before. So empowering. And my little massage lady said the other day, she's pregnant, and she said, "I've heard so many bad things. Don't worry, that's someone else's story. Make your own." But for
Yeah.
me, it was so empowering.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm glad you said that because it's like with everything. Like, I've got another channel that I'm talking about relationships and helping others connect with their partners and things like that and help them, go through their own wounds and traumas and things like that. So I'm coaching on a different aspect, which I never thought I would do, by the way. This is very
I
much a new thing
know.
I'm trying. But for me, I was like, our journeys are completely different. Like, we can't compare our relationship to another relationship or our previous relationship. And I'm really glad that you said that about childbirth as well, because there are a lot of stories, but if we notice, they are all individual to that person. It's like your
Yeah.
fitness, your health, your mental stability or instability will all contribute towards your experience of birth and labor.
hmm hmm Yeah. So for me, totally empowering. But we've sort of gone a little bit off track.
Yeah, we
Riding the
have.
horse on the beach.
That, no, but
Riding
that
the
was the
horse on the
biggest
beach.
win.
Also
That was the biggest
empowering.
win. So it's good. It's
That was
empowering.
my biggest win. Just the feeling I got from that. It was huge. It's going to last me for a few weeks, I do think. You know, you can live on the memory or live on the feeling of something. It's
Yeah.
easy to remember. It's easy to go back to. That was this.
Yeah. Oh, well, keep it, look it up. And I feel like whenever
Uh-huh.
we have a heightened emotion attached to a memory, it's more long lasting, right? And so
Oh, they
hopefully,
absolutely scientifically endorse that. If you have an emotional attachment to something that happens, you will remember it way longer than it'll be a lifelong memory than if
yeah.
something just happened and you didn't really have emotional attachment to it, an emotional
Yeah.
attachment to
And
it.
so every time
So
you
yeah.
think of that memory, the whole emotions will come up
Yeah.
at the same time. So you're going to get that residual, like almost like recharge then, aren't you?
Oh, that's the perfect word for it. Yeah, do a recharge.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What was your biggest win?
Oh, okay. Okay. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do this flying off the seat of my pants at this one because I
Mm-hmm.
really don't prep these answers.
No, she
But
doesn't.
I
I
was
know. I'm
literally
keen to
saying to
listen.
Kelly, before we actually pressed record, I said that I had literally done a client. I was meeting with a client and I was helping her through her current like situation regarding her connections and her relationships. And she sent me the most wonderful like feedback, and it's completely unexpected for me because I'm still very new to this. I'll call myself a novice. But whenever I get to do something for individuals on this particular topic, it really does light me up. It really does put me in a different sort of source of energy. Sometimes, not often, I kind of have to come out of it and I'll be like, oh, I need a shower, I need to do something, or I need to move my body because it's quite
Do
heavy. But
you?
that's very few and far between. So I feel like this person, when she gave me the feedback, she was like, she was just overwhelmed with the amount that I had supported and helped her on her journey. And she's got a few things to do. Like I almost gave her like little homework things and she's happily doing it. But yeah, it just came around. And I think that was the biggest win. Like I get to help somebody in a completely different continent, in a different country. And the fact that we resonated, and this is the thing we were talking about energetic frequency, our energies have aligned for us to connect on this very particular thing. And then she gets to kind of take that forward with her and like having to help a person during a certain circumstances or certain situation, it really does just I don't know, it's like the grand scheme of things, we're all interlinked and interconnected.
Absolutely, we are. That's another one similar to what I just said. It like you can live on the energy of that one for a while, can't you? And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's a
so you
good
can read
point.
her message and feel that again. Maybe we should every week try to, or every month, try to do something that we can draw on that energy again and again,
That's a good
you know?
point. Right, I'm gonna pin that somewhere in my brain and just go have a think about what we can do
Yeah.
to
What
add
kind
that
of
in.
energy do we want to draw on? You know, it can be like for me, it was that empowered at one with nature type thing. Yours was I really helped someone,
Yeah,
really helped someone. So
yeah.
maybe we can change it over next time. You can gallop a horse along the beach and I can help someone. Something like that, you know? But we'll
Yeah.
have to have a list of different energies that we want to connect with.
Yeah, that's true. I like that. And also, I always find that energy is interchangeable. So sometimes you might be going through something and your energy, you may not even realize what is happening, but you just feel
Hmm.
this stuckness. And that's okay. Like just sit with it and just sit with, like, I believe that we are both light and shadow, yin and yang, divine masculine and divine feminine. So there are going to be polar opposites towards our energies. Sometimes we're going to sink into one area. For example, if you're an entrepreneur, you might be, really delving into your divine masculine energy. If you are a mother or a nurturer, you might be really delving into your divine feminine energy. It really, really is translucent or what's the word? It's a good exchange, right? But it just depends upon what energy that you're surrounded by, what energy you're
Hmm.
feeling. And then which energy do you want to step into? I think that's the change, isn't it? It's like we don't realize how powerful we are to change it, and we kind of just accept where we are. And I love the fact that it's almost like you're saying we don't need to accept where we are. We can manifest this new energy wherever we are.
I'm going to ask you about that one day because you understand it, or at least talk about it so beautifully, describe it so well. So one day, next
Yeah.
podcast,
Okay.
I'll ask you about all those things you just mentioned. So the yin and yang and divine, masculine and feminine, you would say they're one and the same, different names for the same thing?
I say that they're just polar opposites. It's like with the
Yeah,
yin and yang, we've got light and dark, haven't we? But we can't
yeah,
just be light. We can't just be dark. It's almost like we have to embrace our own shadow selves or our own hurt and anger and pain or trauma or fears even. So we can see that they're illusions. But we don't need to shun them and get rid of them because how would we do that? It's almost like there was a great example. I was having a conversation with my brother, and I said I could easily go into the state of being mean, talking, gossiping, and probably in a negative state, for example. But if I'm surrounded by those types of people, I can choose to actually, it's going to be a lot harder because I'm surrounded by those types of people. But if I'm choosing, well, which attitude am I willing to embrace? Am I willing to embrace that positive energy, or am I willing to embrace the pessimism or the negativity or the logic side of things? So it's almost like we're still choosing how we would like to interact, but we
yeah.
have both of those energies within us. It's almost like that. We've got both wolves within us. Which one do you feed? Well, the
Which one do
one
you feed? Yeah,
yeah, which one do you want to
yeah,
focus on? Which parts of you do you want to focus on? Because we actually have all of those parts. We can be murderers and killers, and people are like, wait a second, I'm not that. And it's like, tap into that dark side of you, and you probably can have something traumatic and then see what your reactions would be or your actions would be. Some people have nurtured one part of them so well that that wouldn't be the way they would handle it. I was watching a program the other day, and it said, um, the parts of you don't change. It's what situations bring out the natural parts of you. So say, for example, you
yeah.
win the lottery, it's what part of you would be unleashed and revealed. So if you
Mm-hmm.
are somebody who does like material things, or you are wanting to experience adventures into the world, more of that will come out. But if you want to be of service of more, or if you want to give back to the community, more of that will come out.
Yeah. Just like you said, which wolf are you feeding?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And you can't have light without dark,
Yes, that's my
right?
understanding, or that's
Yeah.
what I believe.
I believe it too. I mean, you see it.
Yeah,
Can't have light without dark. Yeah.
yeah.
And we're not just talking about in people, we're talking about like in the physical sense, as
Well,
in
yeah, you
looking
can see it
outside that dark.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
Anyway, all right. Toss. What are you currently focusing on? Physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual wellness?
okay, so I think I don't know.
I know. I'm asking you your own questions.
It's a good
It is so
question.
hard.
Oh, the older version of me was so good.
You
Okay, what
don't
am
have
I
to choose
focusing
one. It's always going to be a combination of all of those things. Which wolf are you feeding?
Okay, so can I pick two? I feel
Yes,
like okay, I'll put them in hierarchy. I feel like I'm feeding my spiritual wellness
I
first,
do too.
but I'm
Yeah.
also very closely linking my physical wellness. So, I was telling Kelly as well before we actually recorded that I had been I have not been in a gym for almost 3 years. So since COVID
Mm.
hit and since I started my own thing after working in F1, I just chose to do body weight strength at home. Conveniently, we weren't allowed to leave our homes. So we had to figure out stuff. And I am an active person. So even though I'm not invested in sports. I was like, well, how can I utilize body weight and still get strong and maintain a sense of wellness? So I've gone to the gym recently and I've kind of switched up my routine. But I feel like the connection, again, maybe it's that light and dark synergy, that spiritual and physical wellness goes hand in hand. I was speaking to somebody most recently, and it wasn't a pleasant conversation, but it needed to happen. And basically, this person started crying, and I think that they didn't like the fact that they were feeling emotionally vulnerable, but they didn't like to display that. So what I was saying is cry, laugh, dance, and I gave that example. I was like, we are told not to do this, or, oh, be
Mm.
quiet, oh, don't cry, or stop crying now, enough. And it's like, we get to decide when we've had enough. We get to decide if we're crying, laughing, that's okay. But if we're crying because we're sad, that has a time limit. And nobody can decide for you what that time limit is. So for me, I was like, well, wait a second. Whatever energies that we're absorbing or going through, we get to tie that into our physical wellness. So it's almost like, if you're carrying tension, a lot of people will find tension around their neck and the top of their shoulders and their upper back. But it's almost like, well, what are you harboring? What are you holding on to in those areas? So your body remembers. So it's almost like I
Sure
don't
does.
feel like spiritual and physical actually are separate, but I feel like I'm almost focusing on the spiritual, but also learning about it, understanding it. I've only just recently started this. I've got this Gaia membership, as recommended by Kelly.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Love
I
Gaia.
did. And
Yeah.
so I started watching all these different things, and there was one about geometry, and I haven't finished it yet. I just literally got into it and I was cooking at the same time. So I was like, okay, I can't really concentrate now because when you've got more support in cooking, it's done. Like literally shut
Yes.
down the podcast, shut down whatever you're doing. But if you're in the
Yep.
kitchen alone, you just get to just be in this vibe. And I wanted to listen to it, and I just haven't finished it yet. But for me, I was doing something physical. I was also being of service because my family were busy and I was in control of the family meal and it was my happy place. So I was
Yeah.
feeding my spiritual knowledge and I was moving my body. And I feel like those two things are very much I love where I am right now.
I do too. You have been on a journey for 4, 5 years, probably since we started this podcast, and
Yeah,
maybe before I was just more unaware of it. All
yeah.
right. So the question you've written then is, why are you focusing on your emotional, spiritual wellness?
Okay, so again, I was speaking about this before we actually recorded. I
Hmm.
feel more connected to my intuition. So something had happened, and it's in my book if you want to read it. It's in the Happiness Within book if you want to read a little bit of a backstory. So I won't go into it here, but basically something had happened, and it really made me question my intuition. And the thing is, you live in your body. You are surrounded by the thoughts in your brain at 24/7, apart from when you're sleeping, but even then your subconscious will take over and you're in a dream state. For
Yep.
me, if I can't trust the person I spend the most time with myself, like I needed to rebuild that trust in me. Like there's a lot of people who don't like their body, who don't like, there are toxic thoughts that they're constantly berating them, like coming up with all these things of you can't do that, or you're not good enough, or you don't look good in this. And we're constantly feeding that to ourselves. One of the things that I was feeding was I made the wrong decision. I made the wrong decision. I didn't get it right. And I lost the trust within myself. So from that point, I felt like that was why I needed to rebuild my own intuition and just feel what my body is telling me. Like, if it feels crappy, that's a sign. If it feels good, go do more of that. And a lot of people have
Absolutely.
numbed
Yes.
themselves to those physical sensations, but those are the clues. Those are the the green lights and the red flags that we often ignore. And a lot of times, and this has happened in very traumatic situations and circumstances where somebody said, I knew I couldn't trust this person, but I
Mm.
couldn't put my finger on it. I knew there was something dodgy about this area or this place or this event, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And it's because we're numbing ourselves through distractions and not
Yeah.
going more inwards. I mean, there's a very complex version of that. I'm not whittling down trauma and wounds. This is not what I'm doing.
Mm-mm,
I'm
mm-mm,
basically saying that
mm.
when we do trust ourselves, the world open another world opens up for us, like signs, synchronicities, luck, opportunities, miracles. Like all of these things
Yeah.
open up to us because we've nurtured our own intuition and we're following our bliss and we're moving away from the energies that don't align with us and we're kind of following that higher guidance.
Let's talk about synchronicities, which you just mentioned. Okay. So you told me a story earlier today about you being in some traffic
Mm,
and some numbers that have been coming up for you a lot, that you've been
yeah.
seeing a lot, and that that are meaningful to you. So first of all, tell the story, and
Well,
then
first, I want
break
to
it down.
say, yeah, perfect. I
Hmm.
love that little thing. Kelly's turning into a hosting pro. I love this. Um, so synchronicity, what is synchronicity? So synchronization is the act, pardon me, is the fact of happening at the same time. I've just got pop-up, so I'm just literally reading this on here. So synchronization, let me just read that again. The fact of
Hmm.
happening at the same time, or the act of making things happen at the same time. Or the act of making sure that watches or clocks show exactly the same time. Coincidence, let's see if I can spell this correctly. Coincidence, there we go. I always get tripped up with the I and the C. Is a remarkable occurrence of events or circumstances without apparent causal connection. So I was listening to a podcast as I was driving home yesterday, and I found it really interesting that the coincidence and the synchronization are completely different. Coincidence is, oh, well, that just happened because you happened to be there, right? So let's think of examples, Cal. I want to kind of include you in this.
Okay.
So for me, a coincidence would be I looked out the window and I happened to see a random person walking. I mean, like it happens all the time. I just happen to look out at that time and somebody's walking. It's just a coincidence, right? And right now nobody's
Hmm.
walking. Like it's quiet. It's probably a bad example, but a synchronization would be I happen to look out. Okay, so this is a really good one actually. Um, Something that is meaningful to you holds some sort of meaning or value that then comes up on
Hmm.
your life. So say for example, using the person as example, but let's replace the person with a car. So I was going through some cards and I kept seeing the numbers 666 and it's not about the devil. If anybody wants to know what the number 666 means, type it up online. I'm not going to go through the meanings of it. But basically, you could see any number synchronicities. You could see
Yeah.
111, you could see 333, 222, but I happen to see 666. And for me, I am really acutely listening to what the universe, what my environment is telling me. So I was happened to see 666 a lot lately. I was about to drive and merge into a dual carriageway. So obviously coming off the motorway, pardon me, coming off the roundabout, and I was about to merge into like the traffic. But this van, big van, wasn't letting me wasn't letting me through. So there was nothing about it, right? Let him go. I would tuck in behind him. And my name obviously is Tulse, and I saw the letter T 666 on his number plate. So I was like, well, that's really funny because I keep getting these number signs. And so then later on that same day, I happened to be looking out the kitchen window. I happened to see a car And that car, which was driving down, completely different car than obviously what the van I spotted earlier that day. And I saw the car and the number plate had 666 on it. I was like, what are the odds that I saw two cars with those similar numbers? And I just found it really remarkable. And then the day before, obviously, I kept seeing this. So for me,
Hmm.
that's a synchronization, that the meaning holds
Hmm.
significance for me. And that is happening when I'm aware of my surroundings. So a lot of people, as I said earlier, when we're distracted, we're not aware of our surroundings. So what are the
Yeah.
signs? What is that inner meaning for you? Can you tell me a synchronization of yours, or even can you come up with a better example of a coincidence?
Well, I can tell you what I was telling you before as well with the numbers as well. So the numbers I keep seeing, and I know a lot of people say this or see this number, and it's one for me, right? One, everything. So we live in Kingscliff, and 15 minutes up the coast is Queensland, which is in a different time zone for summer than us. So it's a 1 hour behind us. So if I will look at my phone, or my watch even, and it will say 11:11. And I go, that's so cool. Like it's a portal that's opened and you get to make, a wish, basically. It's
Yeah.
like wishing on a star kind of thing. So what would you say? It's a wish is kind of like a fairy tale version of it, but
I don't
when a
wish.
portal opens,
I
you
don't
can't
wish
think
on the
it's a wish.
numbers. I don't wish on the numbers. Maybe I
No,
should.
you just go, it's a coincidence. Well, this is what
No,
I was
I,
told.
sorry, I'm
No.
gonna just like it quickly say that I don't wish on the
Mhm.
numbers. There's two things that I'm trying to do. I'm thankful for the universe for sending
Yes.
me that specific sign. So I'm like, oh, thank you. And whether
Yes.
you believe in your ancestors communicating with you through 111s or people that you have passed away, it could be a
Yes.
sign that are actually
Well,
translating
that's
to
what it's
you
meant
on
to be,
this.
right?
But then also, if you've asked for a sign from the universe to say, so say for example, you're struggling with a certain problem or a situation, you're not sure which avenue to take, which decision to make. You've tried to go inwards, you've tried to listen to your intuition, but there is still something blocking your answer. Ask for a sign, and it could include a number synchronicity, and just look out for it. And that's why I don't wish for things, because I'm like, what was I thinking before the numbers come up? And that's a different thing as well. So there's so
Ah,
many
okay.
multiple variations of how you can use these numbers.
Yes. Yes. And I have heard or read or been told different versions as well. So I will now try to be more mindful about what I was thinking before I saw the numbers.
Yes.
But also I do seem to like the idea that it's a portal that
Mm.
has opened up, and it's a portal for you to draw uh wishes. I can't think of a better
No, but
word,
it's
but
almost
it's,
like
it's not.
what I see is almost like a oh, what do they call it? Wishing well. So it's almost like it's a wishing well being opened within that 111, and you just get to pop it
Yeah,
in or draw it out,
draw it out. Yeah,
whichever way you
or
want to
yeah, draw
draw that wish
draw it
out.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could think of I wish I could think of the right word. But anyway, wish seems to be it. But anyway, if I'm in New South Wales and I see the phone, I'll look at it as I'm leaving 11:11. Okay, then I get to Queensland and I don't look at the time for an amount of time, like no deliberate amount of time. And then I'll look at it again. I'll go 11:11. It's eleven
Yeah.
eleven again. And then I did an update on my phone, and my phone was in 24-hour time. Not that I chose that, it just was, and I didn't change it. With the update, it changed back to 12-hour. Like, so instead of saying 13:11, I used to always look at it and go, oh man, maybe I wished it on it. And I went, oh man, if that was like 1:11, then it would say 1:11 again. So anyway, with this new update, it's just changed to 12-hour time. So now it's
So now you get to see
1:11
it twice in
and
the
1:11.
day.
I know. Yeah. And that's just some things. So on number plates, car number plates, like
Yeah.
prices,
Yes.
likes on posts, 100, 111,
Yeah.
111,
I see that all the
111,
time too. Yeah, yeah,
all the time. They
yeah,
go, why did I even look at that comment? So I'll scroll down. Sometimes there's funny things or
yeah,
commentary that I'm interested in. And I'll go, why did I search for that comment, this comment? And why did I
yeah.
stop at that one? So is that a meaningful comment or not? But I'll start thinking about what I was thinking about before I saw those numbers. I think that's
Yeah,
a
I
good
think
thing.
that for me, that's a different thing. I want to start thinking about what was I thinking about before, and then the number came up. So it's almost like
Okay.
it's a way of or the universe giving you advice or helping you understand, where are your thoughts? What are you thinking? Why is this aligning for you? And the thing is, the more you notice it, the more you notice it. So you're not seeking out those numbers, they're almost seeking you out. And this is where I was
Yeah.
saying that some people, I'm reading the book Signs anyway, and within that, there is this medium, and she talks about channeling messages from those who have passed on. And for people who are very cynical or like to live in a logical state, they need evidence. Even the most cynical individuals have been won over by the things that she has spoken about from those who have passed away. She wouldn't have ever guessed or known. So it is a very specific thing. And for some, it could be animals, it could be, a very specific memory, or it could be numbers. And that's how the people who have passed on want to communicate with you. And it's almost like a sign of reassurance. It's like even if you're feeling some sort of anxiety or uncertainty, that it's almost like that, it's okay, we've got you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you just said, it doesn't have to be numbers. Numbers just happen to be
Yeah.
easy for you and I at the moment. You are way more intuitive than me, and you if you ask for a sign, you'll see animals that are not really around in Britain in the cold weather, but they are for you,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
here's another one. So I've
Uh-huh.
been writing all these down, so maybe I can include it in its own little book. But
Yeah.
basically, I was in Costa Rica last year. So when I went to a retreat in Costa Rica, I'd never seen a hummingbird. I've never seen one, not in real life anyway. So I remember speaking to everybody within the retreat. Certain people had actually seen them, so certain people had seen them before, depending where they live in the United States. And I just never saw one. And I was grappling with this uncertainty regarding a certain situation between me and somebody else. And so I asked for a sign. I was like, can you just give me a sign of a hummingbird? So I was meditating at the time and I asked for the sign. Then all of a sudden I heard, I don't even know what a hummingbird sounds like. You know how they do the flapping? You can
Yeah.
actually hear
Yeah.
the flapping. So it's like flap,
Yes, it's
flap, flap,
supposed to
flap,
be.
flap. But then
Yeah.
basically I heard that and I
Yeah.
heard it hit the ceiling because there was an open ceiling basically. So it was basically like a roof, and then we had a few like bamboo sticks, but it was all very open. So all nature could
Hmm.
come into the yoga like environment or whatever. It was gorgeous. And we got to see the sunrises and the sunsets in that. So I could hear it. I could hear it hitting. And I was like, oh, poor bird. I'm like, I get out of my meditation. I'm looking up at the retreat roof and I couldn't see it. And I was like, oh, did it get out? Like, I'm so glad it got out. And I was like, oh, but I missed it. I missed my sign. I was like, I missed it. But then technically, I'm pretty sure that was a hummingbird. Like the way it was flapping, the way I was hearing it, I could just feel it was. So then I was like, but can I just get another sign and can I record it, please? Went back into meditation. And then all of a sudden, I opened my eyes, and right in front of me, it was the bush. There was a nice, gorgeous bush, and basically, hummingbird flew forward, hovered for quite a while. I picked up my phone, went straight to camera, and started recording. And then obviously it disappeared, but it stood there for a while. And I was like, oh my gosh, I manifested this. I called this in and I wanted it as a confirmation, but I also wanted to record it. And I still have the video somewhere, but it's just like I was like in awe that I could do these things. So test your own intuition regarding these things. So it could be any animal. Make sure it's unusual though. So if you, for
Yeah.
example, ask for I don't know, a panther or something unusual, like you wouldn't normally see in your day to day. Like you can't say, I want to see a red car because you'll probably see a red car everywhere. But you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It has to be something unique and specific to you.
Yeah. But if I ask for a Black Panther, and there's no Black Panthers in Britain, right?
No.
But it can be a photo, can't
It
it? It can be a
could.
photo. It can
Yes.
be a business called Black Panther. It can be a
Yeah.
football team that are the Panthers. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly, exactly. And the funny thing is I feel my spirit animal, well, my ancestor spirit animal. So I almost get the, oh, I'm getting looked after by the Black Panther. So I feel like that's not who I am, but somebody who supports me from somewhere else. And there was a message for a delivery today from the company of Panther. And I was like, it didn't really sink into me. Even now, I'm talking about it. It's almost like the penny dropped now because I was like, oh, yeah, I literally did have that message yesterday. And that was really funny, wasn't it? And it's just like, it's a confirmation that you're on the right path. You're doing the right thing. Like if you feel lost, ask for a sign and you will receive it. Just don't be too caught up in trying to find, like, don't keep looking at the phone going,
Don't
I
go
need to look
looking
for
for
11,
it.
11.
Yeah. I've got to find a Black Panther. Yeah. Yeah. Don't hashtag Black Panther and go, oh, found it. You know,
Exactly. Let it come to you. And
let it come.
it could be minutes, it could be days, it could be weeks. Like it doesn't necessarily happen automatically for everyone.
No, absolutely doesn't. But I
Yeah.
have heard stories of people who've asked for unusual things and being disappointed. And this is like on YouTube. There's quite a lot of um, clairvoyance mediums.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this one lady was saying that she asked for a particular sign of dolphins in a sea, like a very cold Alaskan or something. And apparently they don't they live in warmer waters. This might not be true, but this is what I read or she was saying. And she was on a cruise and she asked for the dolphins as they were going into colder water and she went, right now, if this happens, this is really going to blow my mind. But she didn't see these dolphins, not for days and days and days. But when they got into some cold water, it came over the loudspeaker, I guess,
Yeah.
or communications. If everyone would like to go to this side of the boat because it's very unusual to see it, there are a pod of dolphins. And she went, they're for me. These dolphins are here for
Yeah.
me, right?
Yeah. And you're going to have those exact words. You're going to be left in awe. It's going to feel good and you're going to know that it's for you. And I love the fact that you said those words because you're going to know. Like it's people are like, well, how do you know? You just know. You're going to have this feeling that
Yes.
it's for you. You're going to be in awe, like, oh my God, this is magic. But you asked for this and it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would call that a miracle. So if you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, for sure. Okay,
mm,
so I'm going to slot in with that question and answer. What made you smile recently, Cal? Tell me.
um, I hate leaving empty spaces in the podcast, but I can't oh, do you remember a few weeks ago, my sister and brother-in-law and my husband and I all went down to lunch to Brunswick Heads, and we took Jill, my friend Jill, with us.
Yeah.
And this lady was selling raffle tickets to make money or to raise money for the Surf Life Club. No one's got cash on them anymore, but she needed cash, but no one
Oh,
has cash.
okay.
Anyway, my sister said, "Do you carry cash around?" You're saying that like you do. You do?
Sometimes I do. It
Okay. Yeah,
depends.
no, that's good. Yeah, I just don't get paid in cash. I like
But
everything's electronic
it's
for me.
becoming more, it's becoming less and less, isn't it? It's very much a contactless world these days.
Unfortunately, it is. I'm going to have to
Yeah.
carry some cash around because, those contactless points of
Mm,
payment are sometimes breaking down, and I've
yeah.
been caught there fairly
Yeah.
recently. Anyway, my sister, we said to the lady, we actually don't have any cash on us. We are so sorry. And then as she was walking away, my sister went, "Oh, wait. I think I've got $10 that I saw at the bottom of my bag. And she scrambled through, couldn't find this darn $10. So the lady said, that's fine. Started walking away again. And then my sister found it, put a hand on it, found it, and called this lady back, this poor lady back, and said it was a ticket, one ticket for $5, two
Mm.
tickets. And so she said, all right, we'll buy two tickets. And then the lady, Danny's my sister, and she held it out. She said, choose one. So I chose one. And she called the other day, my sister called the other day. She goes, guess who won first prize in the raffle? And it just made me laugh because it was so unlikely that we were going to win and so unlikely that we had cash. And there were just so many unlikely things that had to happen for
Yeah.
us to win this first prize, which is
Yeah.
a round of golf and lunch at the Brunswick Hotel, which is
Oh,
lovely. Yeah,
that's
very nice golf
really
course.
nice.
It's going to be fun because none
Yeah.
of us are good at golf. It's going to be so much fun. But we get golf buggies and then we can have lunch before or after. You know, you can drive golf buggies drunk, don't you?
I did hear. Yeah, I've seen a lot of Americans do that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
actually Welsh people, apparently Welsh people do.
Well, I'm not going to be, I'm not a big drinker. I just haven't, I think I've told you that my grandfather su succumbed to a lot of alcohol and a
Yeah.
lot of reasons behind it. And it was a terrible, sad story. But that's why I don't, there's
Yeah.
not an alcoholic drink I've found that I enjoy. So I don't drink. My sister doesn't either,
Yeah.
but the
There's
boys
just
might.
no appeal to it, isn't it? Because you've seen
No,
it
not
in
for
real
me.
life what it can do.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
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 So, yeah, so we'll have fun. The boys might have a few drinks. They're into the ginger beer, alcoholic ginger beer era.
Okay.
So, I know. So that made me smile. The fact that we won this raffle
Yeah.
with all odds against us. I know
That's pretty cool. That's pretty
it
cool.
is. All right. What's made you smile lately?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
I
See,
think
put you on the spot.
I think so. Recently, I've spent a lot of time at home, and just this past week, my brother was home, and like,
Oh yeah, you're back at home.
well, I was, yeah, and then I've ended up coming back to the flat, and it's just funny because so me and my brother were having these conversations, and like the more and more you end up just having these little quips and these little like funny, sarcastic comments. Like I remember, it's not going to make sense to the listeners, but basically, you know how people who just get to know you just throw in a random word, but you know the random word means something, and then you kind of have an ongoing joke about it for the next few days. Like, oh, do you remember when he said this? Or you just say the word and you all remember that memory. And it's just a funny little thing. And that I think made me smile a lot because it's my brother will come out with just these corny jokes, but they are genuinely funny. But I think they're the best ones, isn't it? When you don't expect anything, and then all of a sudden you just burst out laughing, and then I
Yeah,
can think about it now, and I can still laugh about it. So I just feel like it's that running joke that you have as the more time you spend with people.
I love that too. When you think in hindsight and it makes you laugh all over again, you're sitting there laughing by yourself,
Yeah, I know.
right?
I do that
Yeah,
a lot. Yeah.
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 All right. Okay. How do you prioritize your health and wellness as a coach, especially since you are still evolving your, well, this was written for me, but you
Yes.
are still evolving your new business, supporting others, in fact.
Yeah, yeah,
You
that's
are.
true. It kind of, yeah,
So
it
how
does
do
work
you
really well,
prioritize
doesn't
your own?
it?
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
How do
I
you
think
prioritize your health and wellness?
I think so since the thing is as coaches we're doing what we love, right? And this
Mhm.
is just a general umbrella to many coaches. Some coaches may not like what they're doing, but I'm just talking about where nobody gets into the coaching profession to make a lot of money. Let's just put it out there. You
That's
don't
so
go
true.
into
You don't.
sports performance or professional
No.
sport to make a lot of
You
money.
think you
They're
do.
just pardon?
You think you do, but you
Well,
don't.
yeah, maybe. Maybe that like little rose-colored glasses part of you thought, yeah, this will be amazing. But then you
This is
enter
it.
the real
Yeah.
world and it's like, it's quite difficult. But also
Yeah.
primarily, a lot of people enter it because they're passionate about what the human body does. They're passionate
Yes.
about how they can support others in a specific way. And they're constantly learning and trying to understand, because you wouldn't be continually learning or going on courses and things like that. And I know the fitness industry encourages courses like that because they do want to make money from it. But as
Yeah.
coaches, we're heavily invested into buying books about like for me,
Oh
psychology is
gosh.
amazing.
Yes.
Physiology.
Yes.
Then you look at sports coaching. Then you look at agility training. Then you look at what type of sport would be applicable for those types of things, depending upon where you're coaching. You're still trying to understand the sport within itself, the biomechanics and the physiology of what the athlete is going through. And then you've got the tests and all the technology that you have to read up on. So people do go out of their way to get into trying to understand how to be a better coach, right? And I feel like sometimes when we are so passionate and love something so much, it's so easy to burn out because of it. And I'm not saying that you have to love what you do to get burnout. It can happen in different ways. But what I'm saying is, you don't really see the burnout creeping up until it's too late. And you're just like, oh crap. Oh, okay. Now I've kind of gone too far with this. So, since having experienced burnout and understanding that it doesn't just happen to people who just work really hard, it happens to people who maybe have this tendency of overachieving, who want to continually strive for, their why. It could be to serve others, it could be to excel to a different level in the company, whatever your motivation is. I feel like for me, I let go of my mental, my physical, my emotional wellness was non-existent. My spiritual wellness was non-existent. I didn't even understand those different terms, let alone,
Yeah.
and this is me as a coach learning about physiology, and that just wasn't present in my holistic wellness. And I'm preaching about sleep, and I'm preaching about nutrition and physiology and physical wellness and movement, and I just couldn't really do it myself. I just didn't prioritize it. I didn't create any boundaries for it. So since COVID had occurred, I prioritized that. I even said to a friend, I was like, I won't do any meetings apart from the podcast and special people. I won't do any meetings before like 10 a.m. And sometimes I'll be at 11 a.m. because I'll have my morning routine where I'll sit and meditate for half an hour to an hour. I'll go work out. I'll go do some yoga, or I'll go for a walk, like, or I'll journal, or I'll, do something else that really cultivates and nurtures my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual wellness. So it's almost like I kind of start my day with those things. And if I don't start my day, it's not catastrophic, but that really sets the day up for something beautiful to happen. It doesn't matter what happens during the day, that I feel like I'm more in control and able to handle those things and be a little bit more flexible with that. So I think that having to prioritize that on certain days more than others, like I'll go, today I'm not doing anything. Today, and I don't have the luxury to say I'll have weekends off because I own my own business. It really, really depends,
Mm.
right? So I have the luxury to say I'm going to have the Monday off, or I'm going to have the Friday off. I have no meetings here. Great. How can I prioritize my own wellness? And I feel like for me as a coach, it's like going through the hard lessons, but actually just going, it is what it says on the tin. I'm doing what it says, what I should be doing. And I'm not going to preach about what other people should be doing if I'm not already doing it.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. I did read yesterday that the best time to meditate is between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. What do you think about that?
I heard that a lot. And I feel like the
Really? I
reason
just cringed and went, oh my God.
But I feel the only reason that this trend, I'm going to call it a trend in inverted commas if you're seeing this on YouTube.
Hmm.
If you're not seeing this on YouTube, should I say? I'm
Hmm.
calling it a
Hmm.
trend because there is a certain resonance, there's a certain vibrational frequency that our brain state will be just as soon as we wake up or just before we go to bed. It's that little lull that you're going to miss it. As if you have a thought, you've missed it. The first thought of your day, you've missed that boat. But basically, when your brain is quiet, and this can also align with the world being quiet. I say the world, it'll probably be your own country and that own inner sanctuary. If you think about the time of 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, it's when the rest of the country, I'm just pointing to my neighborhood, will be
Hmm.
quiet, will be less noise out in the street, less ruckus, less disturbance. So the thing is, it then will be much easier for you to enter whichever brainwave state that you need, theta, beta, alpha, omega, whatever it is, you'll be able to enter those states in a much easier way. But it also doesn't mean that you can't enter it later on in the day or in the evening or just before bed. So I feel like if you don't want to wake up at 3, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning to meditate, don't. Just find a time that works for you. What about you?
Yeah, I have to
I know you
agree.
said you'd
Oh no,
cringe.
I absolutely agree. I cannot imagine waking up at 3 o'clock deliberately to meditate because I would just fall straight back asleep anyway.
Yeah.
I know I fall asleep 99% of the time when I do try to meditate.
And that's fine. And
I'm
there's
glad.
nothing bad with that. And it's so funny because
Mm,
times when I used to wake up 3, 4 o'clock in the morning when I work insane hours, I'd be like, oh crap, please go to sleep
mm.
because I've got like 2 hours until I actually have to wake up
I have
properly.
to. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now, because I have the capability of pushing my meetings back to a certain time, if I do wake up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, I will meditate. I will,
Mm.
but I don't mind falling back asleep. So I'll do the meditation and then I'll fall back asleep and still have that dose of REM and slow wave sleep because it takes about 90 minutes, apparently, on average, to go through the 4 cycles. So I feel like I'm really privileged that I get to wake up, do the meditation. I don't know why I wake up, I just do it and then I feel called to, but then I will go back to sleep and then still have that. It's almost like yeah, as I said earlier, that battery recharge, like I didn't have enough sleep.
Mm.
And apparently, like my Whoop band, I wear my Whoop band. I can't log any time I meditate because my Whoop band thinks I'm in slow wave sleep. So I either change my
Okay.
sleeping logins or I change or I do nothing. And I just found it fascinating that my Whoop thinks I'm sleeping at a slow wave sleep, but it's actually meditation and I'm awake. And I just found it so fascinating that the body is able to go into that slow wave frequency.
Yeah, that is amazing. I
Yeah.
have achieved that sometimes, and it's amazing, absolutely amazing. But here's my next question.
Yes.
Off track again a little bit. When you wake up, if you wake up at 3 a.m. and decide to meditate, do you stay in bed and meditate or do you get up,
Oh
sit
no,
up?
I'm
Yeah,
not
okay.
leaving my bed.
Yeah, I just wondered. Yeah, okay.
And
So
plus,
you
the
stay
thing is,
there, snuggled up.
yeah, and then if I do fall asleep, it's okay. I feel like
Hmm.
there has been this thing of you need to sit up with a straight spine and meditate. And
Yes.
I'm just like, well, I'm cold. And then sometimes my lower back hurts if I'm sat up and I haven't been propped up on a cushion because our sacrum,
Yep.
our spine goes in a wave. We
Good.
can't
Yeah,
necessarily sit up straight on a hard floor or whatever. Having a pillow underneath your bum just allows that neutrality of your spine. Everybody's different on this. Certain people need certain positions that they can feel comfortable in.
I
Find a
do. Yeah.
position that
I
you
need
feel
the
comfortable in for an hour.
bolster.
Yeah. Yeah. And you
Mm.
can prop it up with blankets, with cushions, with bolsters, whatever it is. Just find something that works for you and that puts you in a comfortable state, I want to say. So if I'm lying down,
Yes.
I'll still be up for an hour, I'll still listen to the whole meditation. I will still be very resonant with it. But then straight after, I will fall asleep, usually. And if I
Yeah.
don't, I'll just get up and move. Like I'll just get up and get on with my day. Like today,
Okay.
I woke up and I did meditation straight away. It was an hour. I was laying there, but I didn't fall back asleep. I just carried on. Okay, or let's do this. Okay, let's do that. Okay, let's set up for the podcast. And I don't feel like I'm lacking sleep. I feel like I'm good.
Good girl. Lovely. Okay. So when you put yourself in the position to meditate, do you cross your hands over your chest? Do you put your hands on your heart? Do you put your
Oh,
arms out to the side so that you're not touching your arms I've heard all different ways. So what works for you?
That's a really good question because I really like, it depends because I
Hmm.
really like placing my hands on my heart, especially if I'm in
Yes.
bed. Like I
Yes.
need that. I want to get resonant with my heart space.
Yes.
And there'll be certain days I'm genuinely called to place my hand on my heart. Other times I place my hand on my sacrum or
Hmm.
my womb space. For those of you who don't know where the sacral chakra is, but just below your belly button, I'll just like kind of caress that or
Soft
just
part, the
place my
very
hands.
feminine part of your belly, right?
Yeah,
Feminine part
yeah,
of your
it's a
body.
very
Yeah.
intimate, sensual part of you, right? And women
Mhm.
have been taught for a very long time not to tap into those sensual, sexual sides of them. So I feel like, how can we nurture our own femininity? And then other times I will spread my arms out wide because
Okay.
I need to be in this act of receiving. So I always feel like if you've got your palms up, it's the mode
Hmm.
of receiving. And if you've got your palms down, it's the mode of giving. So
Hmm.
again, listen, I feel like this also enhances the level of your intuition. So the more and more you can in tune with what does your body feel? Like, what do you feel like that you could start off with your heart and then it could end up with arms wide open. So yeah, it depends. What do you like? What do you prefer when you do
Well,
get
I'm the
that?
same as you. So a heart, and when I put my hands on my heart, I pretend I'm breathing in through my heart. Or
Yeah.
not pretend, I try. I imagine that. And it's just such a beautiful, calming feeling. Of
Yeah.
course, you're breathing in through your nose still or your mouth, but nose ideally. But yeah, imagine I'm breathing in through my heart and it's such a delicious, tickly feeling. I love it. But I do the same wherever my hands are. Imagine I'm breathing in through that portal. And
Mm.
then other times, like you, arms out. So if you're very good at self-guided meditation, I need a guided
Oh no,
meditation.
I need
So,
guided meditations. I'll
oh, you
send you one over
do?
that I'm listening to at the moment. It's pretty different,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, it's like all about the vibrational frequency of how much space can you hold within that area. So I'm
Okay.
kind of like I'm drawn to that at the moment. So I will seek guided meditation. I feel like that will help me because well, I'm a coach. Like I have to run my own business. I'm always in charge
Yeah.
of something now. Somebody else can do it for me.
Yeah. I like that. And that is a good reason why as
Yeah.
well. You've got to hand something over. You can't do it all.
Yeah. And I also
But
like doing
Jojo, yeah.
meditation where I'm breathing. If I'm doing breath work with my mala beads, I can sit in silence and do that. That's fine because for 20 minutes, all I'm concentrating on is breathing in and out. So for me, people are like, oh, that's a really long time. I was like, not the way I do it. Like your brain is so tuned into breathing in and out. You might have passing thoughts, but they'll be few and far between.
Yeah. Yeah. And you learn that too. I love when I'm trying to get into a meditative state. I think it was a Joe Dispenza thing, but you listen for the sound that's furthest away from you. So you probably hear the ones that are
Mm.
closest to you first and you just let it move through you. And then you try to listen for another one, like far, far away.
Oh,
And you
that's a
might
good
hear a little
tip.
bird tweeting, oh, and then you draw that sound to you and move it through you. And it calms, it really soothes me. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's the right word, but it does. It slows everything down. So
Yeah.
my Morpheus would probably think I'm in a slow meditative state as
I
well.
love it.
But that's how
Yeah.
it feels, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. I really like. I mean, sometimes when I have trouble sleeping, my biggest tip, so I'm just going to throw in that health motivational tip of the day right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Go for it.
I'll go through my chakras. So I might start on my crown. I usually start at my root chakra, the Muladhara chakra. So it's the base of the
Yep.
spine, and I'll do 7 breaths. So I'll focus on inhale, exhale. That was 1 breath. Inhale. Exhale, that was 2 breaths. So when I'm focusing on the 7 breaths, then I'll move up to the sacral, then I'll move up to the solar. Usually between the sacral, pardon me, the solar and the heart chakra, I am so chilled out. I start to really relax. If I haven't fallen asleep already, I usually do go through the throat and the third eye and the crown. And by then, my breathing has slowed down so much, it's only a matter of time before I fall asleep. It's almost like
Yeah.
it's the best way for me to get to sleep, but I just need to remember to do it, especially when I'm like buzzing or I want to watch one more episode of something. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not
Yeah,
sleepy yet.
I know. I used to do that as a little girl, just breathe in. I didn't even know about chakras, but I would breathe in and then relax my feet and then my ankles and then my
Mm,
calves and my knees. And I would always get to sleep before I was
yeah,
up to my hips or my belly button.
yeah.
I remember doing that
No,
as
but that's a
a little
really
girl,
amazing intuitive thing to have as a kid.
isn't
Like
it?
things that light you up, remember what you did as a child. So if things
Yeah.
light you up as a child, they will most likely light you up as an adult. You've just forgotten to do them.
Yeah, like it's the inner child, right? That we've
Yeah.
let down, forgotten about, but it's still
Yeah.
there.
Play
And we've got
more.
to
Play more. That is the key.
absolutely.
Okay.
All
Do we
right.
have one more question? Because then we can probably round up on the intentional health motivational tip of the day.
Yeah. All right. What are your biggest lessons when it comes to taking care of your own wellness? No, we've done that.
No, we did a priorities. We didn't do the lessons.
All right. What are the three biggest, what, no, not three. What are your biggest lessons when it comes to taking care of your own wellness physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually?
So
What
I
are the
think the biggest
lessons?
lesson
Tell
would
us.
be I'm not going to get myself to that burnout stage. Like when you get to that stage of burnout and the thing is I've heard a lot of stories where it doesn't just happen overnight. It takes years to get over
Mm,
burnout because it's something that is psychological, it is emotional, it is physical. Like I was emotionally and physically tired, and I've never been that tired before. And I felt like I think of myself so much more highly now. Like I value myself now. I value my body. I value and appreciate myself. I've grown into this whole new version of me who is able to embrace the love, able to accept flaws and all within myself, and then also seeing the light and the good in others. So I feel like the biggest lesson for my own wellness is when we're not taking care of ourselves, we're not becoming the best version of ourselves. We're not treating others with the best version. If something has happened to us and it's cheesed us off, it's made us angry, how do we react? How do we act with those we love? It's always anger, it's always irritation, it's always guarded, it's always closed off. But we have done that to ourselves. And now we're sending out that same energy, whether it's conscious or not, whether it's purposeful or not, it usually has a domino effect. So actually, for me, it's like, well, I had this thing that I needed to open up to my friends and family a little bit more. I needed to let people in and I needed to revel in the love and relationships that could thrive. And I wasn't doing that because I was so solely focused either on my career or it was usually my career. But then I just wouldn't let other people in when it came to closeness and intimacy. So for me, I'm like, well, that is part of your wellness. How can you thrive in relationships? How can you reveal the parts of you that are vulnerable? How can you get to know yourself more so you can put up these boundaries for people, not to block people out, but just to say to people, this is not acceptable. This is where my boundaries lie. And then you're attracting different relationships. I feel like when you're able to say, no, that's not appropriate, people will match your vibrational frequency and meet you to the standard that you're holding. And it's not saying you're blocking people out, it's inviting the higher version of themselves in. So I think that that is the biggest lesson for me, that when I'm able to nurture myself and look after myself, I'm a better version of myself to other people. And isn't like that's not just for me, it's for everyone. Like when I'm in happy and when I've slept well, when I've eaten well, like you get the better version of me. And why wouldn't I want to do that for my friends and family?
mm. Oh, I love that. Big sideline comments from tulsicoach.com. Love it. Have you got a copy of your book there that you
I
can
I do hear somewhere. Let's have a look. It's up here. It's my
girl
hardback
show it?
copy. It's right here. Happiness Within.
Love it.
I
There
love
you
the
go.
lessons that it's taken me to actually, and this is one of the books that obviously enabled me to be a little bit more vulnerable. It was so close to being published, and I was almost like, well, wait a second, everybody's gonna read about my story now. And now I'm like, well, wait a second, this is fine. This was a hurdle that I needed to overcome and it doesn't matter whether people read it or not. And I'm very grateful for everyone who's bought it and read it. But for me, it was like, it is a journey of that discovery of self-reflection. It is enabling me to tap into my own vulnerability because people will resonate that in their own terms. And then we've also got tools and tips of how to support you
It's
on
a
that
very good book, Tulsi. You
as
should be very proud of it. And I've got the hardcover copy too.
well. Oh,
It's very
yay.
special.
Yay. And I'm
Yeah.
working on my other books. So Love
I was just going to
Within.
say,
Love
yes.
Within. And the thing is, I kept Happiness Within guarded for a very long time. And what I realized is,
Hmm.
because I am self-published, I was like, oh crap, I need to do all the marketing material for this now. But the thing is, it's like, just let people in. Like sometimes I
Yeah.
like projects being done. And when I've done them, then I'll announce what I've done. And I'm trying to reverse that part of me. I'm just going, let's just let people in. Let's just let people in. And it doesn't matter how long I've been working on it. At least I'm letting people know rather than it being just tell them when it's done, right? I don't know where that philosophy comes from. I think it might be a social media business thing. It's like, don't tell people your secrets
Mhm.
until it's done. Have you heard of that
Okay.
before? Have
I
you heard of
have,
that? Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Don't
I don't
tell
know where it came
anybody.
from, but
And I think I
yeah.
held that to such high regard that I didn't tell anybody about anything. And I'm like, well, that's not really fair to the people around me because I want to know about them, but they're not really knowing about me, right?
Yeah. And plus, you've done a lot of the social media, not even the social media, but the promo for it over a period of time as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's easier on you as well. And I'm
Agree.
looking
Yeah.
forward to it. There's no
Yay.
date for the second one, though, is there?
There is, I'm still writing it.
There
So I
is?
feel like I'm still in my element of
There is not.
creativity, of
Yeah.
flow. So I need to get back into my routine. I have been complacent because I've had another priority that I'm focusing on. But as soon as
Uh-huh.
that's done, I'm gonna carry on writing and seeing when that happens, it will be the editing process. So again, just going through that new journey again with this experience of happiness within. Now it will be another phase of that love within, and there are a few more secrets that I'm still holding on to when it comes to more books. So yeah,
Oh,
the
you little
author in
Taylor
me
Swift,
hasn't
you.
died yet.
Oh, no, you have got plans for volume after volume.
Yeah,
5?
well, we'll see how it goes anyway. I'm just enjoying the
Okay.
writing process. I'm like,
Yes.
I'm doing what I really enjoy, and hopefully people will receive that in the way that they
No,
need to.
I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend anyone to read it, even if you don't think it's what you're after. It actually is. It actually
Oh,
is. Yeah, you can open this book up as well. You don't have to read it from page one to the end, even though that is how I did it. But then when I pick it up now, I just open it up and know that whatever I've opened it up at is something that I needed to know
yes.
on
And that
that
is
day
you
in that
following your
moment.
intuition. I love that you
Yeah.
do that. So that is a perfect example of ways you can use the book too. So thank you.
No, no, I love doing that. So highly recommended.
Thank
Anyway,
you.
all
Okay.
right, Miss T.
Should we do a last
You,
question? So
yeah,
I'm going to give you two options actually. Would you like to set your intention this week or would you like to say your health motivational tip or would you want to do both?
no, I'll choose one. Um, health motivational tip for myself. I'm going to set this. It's an intention and it's a mixed one. Okay, it's
Ooh,
a mixed,
hybrid. I love it.
a hybrid. I'm my setting my intention for my own health and wellness motivation, and I'm going to try and meditate when I wake up.
Yay.
Yeah. So before I have another thought, before I get entrenched in anything else, and then sometimes when you meditate in the afternoon or at night, you have to put all the baggage of the day beside before you can
Mm,
even start to get into
Mm-hmm.
a meditative state, and then the thoughts creep in, or things you haven't done, or things you need to do. But if it's the first thing you do each day, and it doesn't even have to
Done.
be every day, does it? Then
No.
yeah, you you can start doing what you need to do after that.
Mm.
And it also doesn't need to be an hour. I mean, ideally, because it's just delicious to meditate for an hour, but it can be 15 minutes, it can be 20 minutes, can't it? It can be 5
Agree.
minutes.
It could be 5 minutes. You can literally do a breathwork exercise and be like, okay, I'm done now. But the more and more, it's an investment. I feel meditation is an
Mhm.
investment, and you're
Mhm.
going to reap the rewards in all areas of your life, but you're only going to know when it's not working when you stop. So you're going to have to
Oh
keep
gosh.
going.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a rehab client at the moment. He is at the point where he just needs to learn to breathe. And that sounds
Mm,
ridiculous, but
mm.
my goodness, the benefits he's getting from it. So I wonder if I can convince him to sort of turn it a little bit meditative. I have a feeling I cannot, but
I do it with my young coaching clients all the time. Like
yeah,
I'm coaching
yeah.
a young driver, and I'm
Hmm.
using the breath work technique as a counter. So we're improving his breath. We're also including meditation in that, but I don't call it meditation. I call it mindfulness,
Yeah.
and we're
Yeah.
just breathing. So every time, whether those thoughts stray, I'm like, come back to the count, come back to the breath, and we'll do it for 2, 3 minutes because he's only young. But the fact that he's doing it now is a big deal.
Absolutely. And when I do it with athletes, I call it getting into the zone because they
Yeah,
understand that and they
yeah,
want that. And so,
yeah.
yeah, let's get into the zone. But it's meditation and it's mindfulness.
It
But
really
yeah,
is.
call it what you like. Yeah,
Yeah.
call it whatever you like.
Labels are irrelevant. Just call it what you like. Just keep doing it because it will just
Reframe it.
unlock all this magic and then signs and synchronicities and so much goodness, so much deliciousness.
So much there is. All right, what's your health and wellness tip and or your what were we
My
what was that? Not
intention. Well, because I
your
already said my
intention.
health motivational tip already.
That's right, you did too. All right, what's your
No, no, it's
intention?
fine. I'm going to set my intention. So my intention is to continue to cultivate.
Hmm.
I feel like sometimes when we've prioritized a few things, like a lot of people have started exercising at the beginning of January and then they're really committed to doing it and then things fall off the bandwagon and then the old routine becomes normal again. So it's almost like saying, don't be afraid to start back at zero. So the health motivational tip is don't take for granted that you've been doing it for a couple of days. Just come back into it to day one each and every time, whether that's meditation, whether that's exercise, whether that's just giving yourself a bit of a pause today to get back onto it tomorrow and just going, I don't need to start that. I have this thing about people starting exercise on Monday. I don't know why they do it. They think that it'll start at the beginning of the week. Try and dispel that old tradition or that old ritual and start tomorrow or start today. So whether it's a Tuesday and you need to start on Wednesday, start. Like whether it's a Friday and you need to start on Saturday, start. So just don't be afraid to humble yourself and just go back to zero and start again.
Absolutely. Don't wait till you've got workout clothes. Don't wait till you've got the drink bottle.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, right. You've got all the accessories, and now you're like, I don't want to go now.
Yeah. I know.
Oh, well,
I get
Cal,
it.
it's been such a joy. Thank you so much. We've covered quite a lot today, health, wellness, science,
We've
synchronicities.
spanned it all.
Yeah, I loved it. So, everyone, if you found this podcast useful, if you're watching us on YouTube, follow us, subscribe to us, click the notification bell because it all does help us expand the messages out to more and more people. And if you're following us on Spotify, make sure you follow this podcast and share it with your friends if you found it useful. I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you. We are so grateful for everyone. Bye bye.